Is California falling into a 2018 drought? And what does no significant rain over the winter thus far mean for farming? Will there be water to farm? And is it time to be concerned? Weather and water continue to be a hot, divisive topic, and these are a lot of questions we're all asking. And just last week, YouTube user William M. asked, "Hey Matt, what's the drought situation there? I heard it's making a comeback." So right now I'm going to answer that and a lot of questions about water that relate to our rice farming practices here in Northern California. Last week on both the Rice Farming TV YouTube channel and Facebook page, I wanted to know what general questions you all had about rice farming. I received a lot of great questions and was really surprised to see that a majority of them were very much water related. So in this episode, I'm going to predominantly focus on water. I'll address your more general questions of how rice is grown in California in a near future episode. So back to William M's question. Remember, hey Matt, what's the drought situation there? I heard it's making a comeback. Well, William, it's not looking good, man. The rice fields we farm are in Butte County, and the reservoir from which we receive our irrigation water comes from the Lake Oroville Dam. At a glance, the dam is super low due to two factors. One, the release of substantial amounts of water throughout the year last year during repairs on the damaged spillway, and two, next to no rain. Making matters worse, the snowpack up above the dam is at around 14% of average as of February 1st, 2018. This is important because this would-be snow melts and supplements the Lake Oroville Dam throughout the hot summer. It's too early to call it a drought, but it's getting tight. 2.5 out of 3 of California's wettest months have had little rainfall. Now in the past, we have been saved by March rains, and even just last year it rained into April. So with weather patterns shifting, we still may be okay. But if our county was stuck with the water we have now, we'd be in trouble. It's important to note that I believe other North State counties, farms, and cities are okay because their respective reservoirs are full. So great leadoff question, William. Thank you. Juan Brown, aka Blanco Lirio, wrote on Facebook, "I'm interested in the water story. What do you do in dry years?" Well, Juan, that's a bit complicated for a quick answer, but basically it depends on the county and the water rights that are attached to the land of which the rice farmer farms. It's important to note that I'm only speaking about Butte County, where our rice fields are located. So with primary water rights, the farmer is guaranteed contracted water from the state. On a normal year, the farmer just pays the irrigation's district water managers and ditch tenders to supply their farm's allocated water throughout the growing season. In a dry year, the irrigation district may facilitate a water sale and transfer. Basically, the farmer would elect to sell a portion of their allocated water to cities or environmental organizations to help with non-rice related needs, and in effect, not plant that portion of their fields. In Butte County, our rice fields are in a water-rich area of the state, and that means not all farmers nor all water districts in other counties have this opportunity to sell water. Now, in extreme drought cases, the state can break contract and cut the farmer back like 50% of their water allocation. This simply means the farmers would only have enough water to farm 50% of their ground, and if they wanted to plant more, they would need to supplement that delivered surface water with underground water. And this means deep well pumps would need to run throughout the spring and summer, adding a lot of extra expenses, work, and stress to the farmer. There are also secondary water rights holder within the county, and they would be cut back 100%, not offered surface water at all, and need to solely rely on deep wells. A very large percentage of our farming acreage is ground with secondary water rights, and our operation is dramatically affected during drought years. And luckily we do have deep wells, some farmers do not. Thanks, Juan. Great question. Looking forward to collab with you in the near future. By the way, guys, if you don't know, Blanco Lirio is the quintessential YouTube channel for Oroville Dam news and other cool travel videos. Now, H. Baker from YouTube has a great two-part question, which I feel is extremely important to address. The question was prompted by last week's episode of Rice Farming TV as we are draining the winter water that decomposed last year's remaining rice straw. He asks, Matt, where do you rice farmers drain the standing water to? Irrigation canals, river discharge? Now each rice farm has its own irrigation infrastructure, so water could flow between one field into the next within that individual rice farm. But when we drain our rice fields and the water leaves the farm, the water moves into the county's irrigation system. So if it's during the growing season, the water can flow from one rice farmer's farm into another rice farmer's farm. Now, as it flows south, the water will eventually move down into the Sacramento River and potentially be utilized by other farmers, and not just rice farmers, but those growing row crops or tending to orchards. So it's cool to think that the water can be used to recharge natural waterways, but also be utilized by other farmers. Further down south, the water could also be diverted to the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta, or California Delta, and potentially pumped down to Southern California. Otherwise, the water would flow out into the Pacific Ocean through the San Francisco Bay right under the Golden Gate Bridge. But the flow of surface water is not the only way water leaves our rice fields. There's evaporation up into the atmosphere and subbing down into the soil, the latter of which recharges the water table, another cool aspect of rice water living on. Now, H. Baker continues his question with this statement: I would think that fertilizer and agrochemical runoff would eliminate the possibility of drainage into natural waterways. Very good point of discussion. Now, with every pest management application comes a set of guidelines of which the manufacturers, federal and state Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, as well as the Department of Pest Control Regulation have set in place. These guidelines involve use rates, droplet size, handling precaution, wind restrictions, and much, much more. Now, in regards to drainage into natural waterways, water holds are prescribed under these guidelines. Water holds mean that we can't have any water leaving the field after a set amount of days. We must put the work to board up or dam up any drain risers or exit points in the field and shovel mud in front of those boards in order to seal them off. The water hold is set into place until the pest management application has dissipated. You see, these chemical compounds break down in the environment through interaction with soil, water, and air, as well as degradation from sunlight. The water hold is to ensure that this happens on the farm. This is enforced by DPR and the County Department of Agriculture. The state also has monitoring stations at various points along waterways and rivers, helping them ensure the water is clean. The manufacturer wants their product to work, and in order for it to work, the product needs to stay in the field, so they support the water hold. The farmer also wants the product to work, so we follow the guidelines. The government agencies and we all want to protect the environment for healthy life, which are why so many guidelines like the water holds are set into place. Everyone is on the same team. Also, any abuse awards a heavy and substantial fine. But that's just pest management applications. Check out episode 38, Herbicide, Weed Control, and the Truth, for more on all that. You also mentioned fertilizer, and I'll address that, but first I want to introduce a related fertilizer question that came on Facebook from Zach Johnson, aka MN Millennial Farmer. Check him out on YouTube. Zach asks, what is your fertilizer program like? How do you keep nitrogen in the soil when your fields are so saturated? Well, Zach, after our fields have dried out from the winter water draining that we're doing now, we're going to work up the ground with pull chisels and discs. We'll smooth out the nice, dry, fluffy dirt with a land plane, and then we'll add our fertilizer, which will inject aqua ammonia, nitrogen, 3 inches deep into the soil. Because the ground is totally dry, the fertilizer bonds to the soil. We also roll onto the field surface a fertilizer blend made of nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus, also when the field is dry. In a rush, we'll flood the field and apply the seed. The idea is that the seed will get a boost when it hits the soil from the fertilizer blend, and then a week or two later, the root of the rice seed will grow and get a further boost from the nitrogen that was injected 3 inches deep into the soil. About 90% of the fertilizer that we apply during the growing season is applied at this time, pre-plant on dry soil. We don't find that fertilizer moves out of the field with water simply because not much water, very, very little in fact, is actually leaving the field. Remember, we are abiding by water holds for our pest management applications, some of which are applied on the day of seeding. It's important to note that whether it's fertilizer or pest management applications, we are pinpointing the use rate. We only want to apply what the plant needs to survive and thrive. So, for example, we're not over-fertilizing because we don't want to make the plant sick or overgrown. Also, fertilizer costs money. So Zach and H. Baker, I hope that answers your guys' questions. We're going to get this 2018 rice planting season started soon. I'll make sure to show you guys what I've been talking about in future episodes. Also soon, we'll have a better understanding if California is in fact in a 2018 drought. Let's see what type of rainfall and snow we receive at the last part of February and throughout March. I'll certainly keep you guys updated with that. Wow, see, I only answered about 5 of your questions, but when it comes to water, there's no simple answer, nor does water deserve a simple answer because it's so important to everybody and everything. Now about this crop year, I'll say this, like many farmers say, it's going to be interesting. Thanks for watching, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you haven't done so. Any questions, comment down below, and I'm going to try to get to them like I usually do. Take care.